Hello everybody, this is Sense Gaming Channel. My name is Michael and this is my personalized guide to Railway Empire 2. In this first episode, we are going to connect two cities. A simple connection for a simple passenger train. So, we start here in Washington DC. That's what I chose as a HQ. And I'm going to build a train station. You want to make sure that you build the train station in a manner that you can have all 8 tracks later on. That being said, worst case, you can always remove those buildings later on and move them elsewhere, for example, or replace them. But here we have this now. As you can see, it builds with 1 track, but it showed you that 8 tracks are possible. So the next one is going to be in Philadelphia. The same applies here. Remember, you want to eventually upcode New York, so it should be built in a way that this is possible. Also, a good way to build the stations is to always have the building on the same side. It doesn't matter if it's left or right, but if you have a track going from one station to the other, it's just best practice, I guess. If you have the same track here, which is the first one, track number 1, because it's only one, but it's the first as well, to track number 1 here. If you would turn it around and you would go from track number 1 to the first track on this side here, if I was from the other side, then every track afterwards would have to cross the first track, which would not be very wouldn't make much sense. So anyway, track construction is very straightforward as well. You click where you want it to begin, just click, not hold, and then you connect, you click on the destination once. Now it will give you the straightest track possible, which, if at all possible, you should use to build, because this will assure you that the line from A to B is as straight as possible, but also as flat as possible. Now, of course, if you build like this, then sometimes it can become expensive, which it isn't. It's not really expensive here. It costs money and it's probably worth it, but you can adjust where your tracks go by clicking. If you click here, you see you insert a point here, which you can now move around. So you can see if you can find a cheaper way to build. As you can see here, that's not really possible. Because if you look at the contour lines, by the way, that's something I would highly suggest in doing, is in the options, in the display, I guess it is, topography map during track construction on. By default it's off. This allows you to see the contour lines, the height map of the world. So you can see that here there's a steep cliff here. This one is very steep. The shorter the lines are together, the steeper it is. So this is a plain, a small hill, I guess, which then goes steep down to the lake, or ocean actually, I guess. So now the colors of Philadelphia and Washington DC are the same, because it's on the same height. Okay, this one is up. There you can see, if you can follow it, like this. So I'm gonna delete this again. And I'm going to simply build the one it suggests. Now you can change, of course, the way, and sometimes you have to, but keep in mind that the more you change it, the more reduction in speed a train will have. Meaning every time you have a curve in it, every time it goes up or down, the trains have to slow down, or they will slow down, and it's over time it's not very efficient. So you want to have the straightest line possible, if at all possible. So we're going to build this by clicking the execute planning, and now I would say always there is no point in having single lines in between cities anyway. In between cities, you always want to build double rails, because you will have more than one train, and it's just best practice. So you have this symbol here, you click it, and it will add a parallel track, as you can see. You click build, and there you go. You can add others, but keep in mind that tracks cost maintenance. So you only should add tracks once you actually need them. So don't build 8 tracks right at the beginning, because the cost of the track will be huge and you won't make enough money. So we have this. Now, to make this track, actually just see in this menu here, to make this actually work, you have to add the track direction. Now, either way you want to go, right or left, you just have to remember to do it everywhere the same. Otherwise the tracks will collide and will not work. So you click once to go it in one side, you click again for the other side, and you click like this for 0. This does not actually mean that it's no direction. This means it's both direction. That means a train can choose to run over this track here in either direction. Which, for example, if you have bringing from Fruit to Washington on a single track line, is perfectly fine, because the train will run the same track back and forth. But if you have a line between 2 cities, or any line that has more than one track, you will always want to indicate which direction the track goes. For example, I'm always going right towards. Right is from to, and there we go as well, from to. If that makes any sense. It's not the left one that goes from. It's always the right side. The right side track is going to in either side, because it's always the right side track here as well. But now, a train could only use ever one side of the track, because it has no way to get to the other side. So to remedy this, we go to station gridiron, which is commonly used as the diamond crossing. And you can adjust the number of tracks. It doesn't matter here because there are only 2 tracks. But if you have more tracks parallel here, then here you can set how many tracks you want it to have. For example, if I put it like this, it's only 2 tracks. But if I add those 2 tracks here, this is just for example. Now if I go to gridiron, if I put max, then it will make a gridiron for all 4 tracks, meaning that every track, that a train can choose to switch from any track to any track. If you want to have, for example, you can have only 2, then you build it like this. This way you will only have the 2 selected tracks in any way you want. Anyway, I'm going to remove those tracks here again. So now we built the gridiron here, and you want to have it, at least we have it one here and one on the other side. This way each train can switch no matter what station, what track they get into the station, they can switch again. You see? Here you can see the lines. You can switch. So, now the track is done. Now what you need is a supply tower in between. The supply tower is there to fill water, sand and oil. Water to produce steam, sand for inclines, which is not really a thing in here, but still, if there are inclines, it will need sand to get more grip. And oil, it's just to oil every moving parts, so it doesn't fail. It doesn't really matter, to be honest, because yeah, it's just here. So we need to build this somewhere. Do not build it too close to the station and not too close to any switches, or there can be delays. But for the purpose of this one here, and that's exactly what I should not have done. The same thing applies as with the stations. You want to build it. You see this building here on the left side here? You want to have this building on the same side as the stations. Otherwise, if you build another track on the other side here, like this, if you build another track, you have to remove this building because it cannot add more on the other side. It's just a little thing. It's not the end of the world, I guess, but still. And also like to add 2 for longer tracks. Just so not every train has to stop at the same station, so it's a little bit more split in between. Now this is done. Now another thing you will have to keep in mind is when building, trains need maintenance. Maintenance happens at train stations with a maintenance depot. So you have to choose, some stations have to be equipped with a maintenance depot. Not every station, because it's enough. If you have a train from Philadelphia to Washington, it's enough that it has a maintenance depot in one of those. So for example, for this one here, I'm going to choose Philadelphia, because I think Washington is going to be bigger. I also have some future plans, but that's not for now. So we're going to click the train station, construct extension, maintenance depot, and we click OK. We have other buildings, but we're gonna look at them later. So now we have everything built that we need for our first train station. So we get a new rail line, just Washington, well, go from Philadelphia to Washington. Wait, I think, yeah, just make sure that the track direction stays. I think it switches, it turns off once you build the gridiron. So do this at last, I guess. Just make sure you check. So I've done this now to do Philadelphia to Washington. Click just each stop. We want this to be an express train. Express means only passengers and post. It's very good practice to separate always express and cargo, because later on when you have cargo and express, you want them to run on separate rails, tracks. So it just makes more sense. I mean, it's in real life it's the same. Anyway, enough talking. You have to choose a locomotive. We only have the Grasshopper right now, so that's good. Right click to close this window. And we can have here, it will change from 0 to 1 train. But we're going to put 2 trains. running back and forth. And now we can confirm. Now we have our train that will run from Philadelphia. You can see it's loading. Let's speed it up. There we go. Our first train is running. And that's all there is. This is the very basic of the game. And the most important part, to be honest. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you back next tutorial. Bye.